Okay, let me ask you a question. When it comes to power, right? Couldn't you also argue, I mean, obviously men and women make different career choices and stuff. Couldn't you argue that women are attracted to men who have power?
I mean, in my case, like, no, that's...
Well, you're in college, so you probably just want a hot college dude or whatever. You don't give a fuck.
No, I mean, I guess that depends on the woman then, because I can't speak for all women, but, like, I haven't necessarily observed that, but
okay, fine. Let's remove power from it. This can also be related to the wage gap. Do you think that there are some women, there's a greater proportion of women out there that want to be stay-at-home moms, that want to find a husband that pays for everything, versus the reverse, versus men who want to be stay-at-home dads and have the woman pay for everything?
I'd say you're seeing like a switch, honestly, and like men wanting to stay home more and then women wanting to be out in the workforce more. Like there is, I just think that a large part of that was also just like the unequal access to like a lot of these opportunities, but now that it's becoming
Do you think it's
more
a W? Do you really think it's a W as a woman to be a wage slave for 40, 50, 60 years and sitting and looking at a computer and dealing with annoying people? Then, like, is that a W to just be a wage slave?
Depends on your goals. Okay. It depends on your goals.
I mean, as
what
opposed
goals?
to what?
Some women don't want to like...
Most women will be wage slaves. Most men will be wage slaves. That's the reality of the economy. You're not going to have some like rock star career where you're out there saving the fucking world. You're going to be working for you're going to be some faceless drone at a corporation that doesn't give a fuck about you, and you're just going to be another cog in the machine making a corporation and billionaires rich.
I mean, that's true, but like at the end of the day, like your life is defined by like what you consider doing something meaningful. And like for me, yes, I'm a woman, but like I would consider my life a complete waste if I spent it like raising a child, and like that's what I did. Like I would.
Do you think that's a waste to?
For me personally, I'm not speaking for all women.
Sure.
At all. Like that's completely different, but I'm saying like for me personally, like I would completely rather spend my life working at a job that I personally found meaningful, and like even if I am like a wage slave, you know, I'm just working for a corporation.
Okay.
I would rather do that than like, I don't know, be a stay-at-home mom for like the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, honestly, here's what I think this comes down to. Is I don't think it's a man-woman thing. I think it's a class thing. I think it's more of a rich versus poor thing. We've been sold this idea, and feminism has been wonderful for corporations because we've doubled the labor pool. It's not clear to me if the ultimate path to fulfillment and happiness in a life is working for some corporation that doesn't give a fuck about you, that would fire you at the drop of the hat when on a spreadsheet it was determined that you were no longer in some way benefiting the corporation despite your loyalty to said corporation for years on end. Being a worker drone to me is not what I think is particularly fulfilling.
Yeah, and I would not consider that fulfilling either. But if the decision came down to it, like for me personally, I would take that over.
You'd rather be a worker
that's
drone
what I
for
said too,
40, 50, 60 years and not...
Just be open-minded that you might
You're,
change.
I know I might change, but like personally, I don't know. I've never been big on like the whole like responsibility of like bearing a child and then raising it. I just feel like it's too much, and I don't want that level of influence on something.
I get that, but
like
let me tell you, there's
life.
Something weirdly biological that happens when you turn 27.
That's what my mom says.
That's what...
Yeah. Like
I was
that
like,
exact
what?
thing.
It's weird. Just like don't sleep on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would just say that when it comes to power, it is a bit of an apex fallacy because you're only looking at the top percentage of men that have power. Most men have no power whatsoever. That most men and most women are in the exact same boat with a very small proportion of people who have power and who have a ton of money. So I don't think it's a gender thing. I don't think it's a man-woman thing. I think it's people who have power and people who don't. People who have a lot of money and people who don't. So I honestly think feminism is a psyop to distract the populace from... Anyways, I'm not going to get into that.